If my people, Bible reading, part 146 from the book of Jeremiah, and we will continue on in chapter 16, start at verse 13. Hopefully, you've gone into the end of Jeremiah so we can have a commentary and you can listen to what I'm saying and take any notes you want, uh, rightfully listen and check everything I'm saying, because this goes against so many church doctrines out there and so many messianics and so many of those other groups that claim to be giving you the word. And all the point references we use here is just the Bible. We just read it to you. And as a reminder from beginning to end, just like a regular book. That's just the way the Father meant it to be, not sit there and piecemeal it back and forth and come up with some kind of a statement and then go through 12 points of the Bible to make it fit. So then you come up with some kind of a sermon, which is usually not correct. It says in chapter 16, verse 13, "So I will throw you out of this land to a land neither one of your fathers have known." So we talked about that in the coming days, that we will not be following the weekly portions given out by the rabbis. We will be saying, we are so grateful that we're going to be removed and we're going to be brought into the land by Yeshua and by his messengers, his angels, and that they will come and get us. We are not to go early, and we are not to, just as Jeremiah was to stay in the land, and where did he go? He went to Egypt. Where did all those people go? Did any of them return back? No, there's no indications whatsoever. But there is evidence all over the entire world by standing stones, uncut stones, that people of this type of behavior who left standing stones as reference points. And so far, what we read, who was the only people that ever did that? Hebrews, the 12 tribes. I mean, it's just, and they're all over the world. So when we finish Jeremiah here, there's your answer. There's your answer about Egypt, and then from the, circling around, because life is nothing but a full circle, we returned by and from the north. That's what we should be praising during our appointed times, our never-ended appointed times in Passover, in the Omer, in Shavuot, in Sukkot, in the fall. That's what we should be reading this. Should be read and read and understood. But you don't see it. So that's why we're bringing it up now. So having said that, and it's mentioned in chapter 16, we get into chapter 17, 18, 19. Once again, it's just the word of Yahweh come to Jeremiah saying all kinds of things to understand, but it's all about the last days to understand. Now let's get up to chapter 23. Woe to the shepherds, and here's a big woe, which today we don't call people shepherds, we call them teachers. Okay, go figure. That's okay. Woe to the teachers of the word. Woe to the shepherds who are destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture, declares Yahweh. Therefore, this is what Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says to the shepherds who tend my people, because you have scattered my flock and driven them away and have not bestowed care on them. I will bestow punishment on you for the evil you have done, declares Yahweh. So it's okay to be a sheep. You're not going to suffer. You're going to be corrected, but you're not going to suffer nearly as much as those teachers who told intentional lies, not accidental lies, intentional lies, just to help destroy you one way or another. Verse 3, remember this, I myself will gather the remnant of my flock out of the countries where I have driven them and will bring them back to their pasture where they will be fruitful and increase in number. Comment. Heed this promise and compare it to that flyaway rapture theory out there. For Yeshua will bring you into the promised land. If you are convinced that he has already arrived and is at the temple in Israel performing sacrifices, blood sacrifices again, run. For this is the Antichrist who comes before Yeshua. This is so important to understand this. So many good people call themselves Christians. They are. They're wonderful, good people, but they are have a good life, and many have lived and died in a couple thousand years. But this last generation, as I mentioned in several other readings before this, there are more people alive today who call themselves Christians than who have ever died on the face of this earth. Think about what I just said. There are more people alive today than all the people who have ever lived and died since Noah. So it's important to heed what the word says. The blessings will come from keeping the word, that you find favor to be a shepherd. And no matter what, the shepherd's going to be corrected by Yeshua. We're going to be corrected. Chapter 23, verse 15. Therefore, this is what Yahweh Almighty says concerning the prophets. I will make them eat bitter food and drink poisoned water because of the prophets of Jerusalem. Elohimness has spread throughout the land, went all over the world. 30,000 Christian denominations, and they just don't get along. This is what Almighty Yahweh says. Do not listen to what the prophets are prophesying to you, for they fill you with false hopes. They speak visions from their own minds, not from the mouth of Yahweh. They keep saying to those who despise me, catch this. Yahweh says, you will have peace. Oh, those name it and claim it prosperity preachers. You ever notice how they sit there and they, just love Jesus just every morning and love him, just love him, and he will give you everything. And give me some money and tithes. Yeah, these people are in big trouble. They keep saying no harm will come to you. I've heard so many Christians get so upset with me at times because they says, well, you act as though I could be murdered or killed or slaughtered, my head cut off or something for proclaiming Jesus Christ. Yeah? Well, no, the word says that we're going to be perfectly safe. We don't have to worry about a thing. We have named it, we proclaimed it, so we are safe. We are bulletproof, even these last days. Really? Those are the ones that I am concerned about. Verse 19. See, the storm of Yahweh will burst out in wrath, a whirlwind swirling down the heads of the wicked. The anger of Yahweh will not turn back until he fully accomplishes the purposes of his heart. In the days to come, you will understand it clearly. And as we've read, and as you've read through yourself, the entire book of Jeremiah, the warnings and the wrath and the punishment. Yahweh says, pray that you do not have to go through the wrath of me. Well, he tells you to pray. He doesn't say you're not going to go through it. And if you do go through it, he wants you to pray. Be praying on your knees, not running backwards, not falling forward. Praying on your knees. We're all going to be corrected. We're not talking about the heathens and the hateful people out there, the demonic people. They're getting their reward. But he's not talking about them. He's not talking about them at all. He's done with them. He's been done with them for a long, long time. He's talking about you. And you're going to be corrected. How many people I've known in law enforcement, in the military, just in those two forces that I've read about that are good Yahweh, Elohimly people that were murdered, killed, slaughtered, blown up, burned, destroyed, smashed, poisoned, shot with arrows, shot with bullets, shot with hand grenades, landmines, IEDs. What about those? So are there something wrong with those people? So those millions of people that have died in the name of Yahweh, why weren't they protected? There's the flaw in what you're hearing in these churches today. There is the flaw in living color. Okay. So we heed what Jeremiah is saying. It is very, very, very obvious that it is all about now. It's not about back then. It's about now. What Jeremiah was talking about then Nobody cared to even read this or follow it or obey it. They didn't listen to Ezekiel. They didn't listen to any of the prophets that I mentioned, those dozens of them that were talking to the kings, that most of them were worthless kings. We're not to worry that much about the political leadership of this world today because that's a battle you can't fight. We're not telling you to go out there and go after bad politics. You can't. That is something that Yahweh says he's going to do. He says, don't do that. You can take up your sword to defend your family, but you're not to go out there and go against principalities of demons, of evil, because that's mine. Revenge is mine, saith the Father. So he doesn't want you to go out there and just start killing people in the name of Yeshua or Jesus or God. He's going to do that for you. But taking care of your family from someone that wants to literally hurt you and harm you right in front of your face, you're responsible for that. So act like it. Some people may have to go to jail for defending their families, defending themselves. Fine. We're all going on a diet. Jail food tastes like whatever. Let's go to all the warnings I gave you. Let's go to something happy now. Let's go to chapter 29, verse 17. But I will restore to you health and heal your wounds, declares Yahweh, because you were called an outcast, Zion, from whom no one cares. This is what Yahweh says. I will restore the fortunes of Jacob's tents. He will expand your tents. Hello, the ministry of Jacob tents. There you go. Guess what, Bill? You're going to be expanding your tent down there in Cleveland. Maybe you don't think so. Actually, I do think you think so. I think you know. I will restore the fortunes of Jacob's tents and have compassion on his dwellings. The city will be rebuilt on the ruins, and the palace will stand in its proper place. Now, pay attention to what we're talking about in this particular thing of Jeremiah. What's he talking about? He's talking about Israel. He's talking about Jerusalem. And what's he saying? That the temple will be there. The temple's going to be back. It's going to be restored. No, that's not what it says. Read it again. He says, and the palace will stand in its proper place. So Jerusalem will be destroyed, and Jerusalem will be restored. Destroyed and restored. And the palace, the governmental leadership of all the people coming in from all over the world to hear and obey Yahweh and the Torah, the appointed times, the palace will be rebuilt. And Prince David will be heading it. Well, whether that's Yeshua or it is David, doesn't make a difference to me. I'm not arguing. It's just right there for you, folks. There it is. So we live in a time of financially, all could be taken away from us. It's all electronic these days, folks, and everything's fiat. All money and cash and gold and silver is fiat. So don't worry about those things. Worry about your walk with the Father. Let's keep reading. Verse 21. Their leader will be one of their own. Their ruler will arise from among them. I will bring him near, and he will come close to me, for who is he who will devote himself to be close to me, declares Yahweh. So you will be my people, and I will be your Elohim. See, the storm of Yahweh will burst out in wrath, a driving wind swirling down on the heads of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh will not turn his back until he fully accomplishes the purposes of his heart. In the days to come, you will understand this. Now, if that's happening, and he just got done saying that you will be present, that means that you will be living. That means you will be present. That means you will witness all this. That means you're not raptured up, are you? All right. Chapter 31. At that time, declares Yahweh, I will be the Elohim of all the clans of Israel, not the tribe of Judah, all the clans of Israel, and they will be my people. And this is what Yahweh says, the people who survive the sword, will find favor in the desert. I will come to give rest to Israel. So if they're surviving the sword, there means to mean that many that did not survive the sword. Okay? Okay, until next time. Shalom.